My first dram that I had was when I was maybe not legal, and it might have been on a park bench, and it was a supermarket zone, maybe a quarter bottle. So yeah, not a proud moment, and definitely something that I look back on and now think like that was so ironic that turned into my career. The first whiskey I remember buying was a Highland Park 12-year-old, and that was my moment when the penny dropped and went, I can drink this stuff, I can get into this. That's a tough one. For me, Glasgow gets it with the Bon Accord and Pot Still being a close second. I think for me, one of the places is actually in LA. It's a place called 7 Grand. Big whiskey bar, great staff there, always fun to go in. They know how to have a good time. And I've got a soft spot for it because when I moved to the US to become the Glenfiddich ambassador, it was actually the first place where I did a whiskey tasting. So for me, Black Bottle, great blended malt, I think really underrated. Yeah, fantastic dram. Any way you want it. For me, again, it depends on my mood, where I'm at. You know, if I love chucking ice in whiskey, if I'm in a warm environment, for example, cold winter's night, I'm going to do it neat. But it's so different every time. It depends on the whiskey as well. Water for me is about the ABV. It's about the style of whiskey, whether it can hold it. Wildmoor, new blended whiskey on the scene. 23-year-olds up, and fantastic blended malt, works amazingly well. Very vibrant contemporary whiskey with a great backstory relating to the ruggedness, let's say, of Scotland and the adventure outdoors side of things. Man, I'm biased. I live in Speyside. I'm surrounded by 50 distilleries. It's a beautiful part of the world. Green, luscious, I'm 40 minutes from the sea as well. What can't you like about that, you know? I think it depends who's writing them. Sometimes I read them and I'm like, I don't know. I remember reading one once and it said it was like a used condom. For me, that was like, how can you put that in whiskey tasting notes? So sometimes absolute twaddle, but sometimes they're very beneficial. It's hard to say what you're smelling when you're not actually looking at something. So I think tasting notes can really guide people to get in their head as to what's going on within a whiskey. Glenfiddich 15-year-old. Just when I first started working on the brand, and that's going back to 2010, as soon as I poured that, I'm like, this is so easy drinking. And it's one of the ones that if people say to me they don't drink Scotch whiskey, I'll always grab a bottle of that and pour that out, and that normally changes their ideas about it. I was really lucky at the start of my career. When I worked in my Diageo days, there was a thing called the Malt Advocate course. And it's either Dave Broom or Charlie McLean that used to host it. It was Charlie that took my course. And at the time, I hate to say this, but I was a bit of a smoker. Charlie's a bit of a smoker, so him and I bonded very quickly. We were the only smokers on the group. So I was very lucky to stay in contact with Charlie all the way through my career. He's definitely my whiskey hero. We still spend a lot of time together. I go to his place in Edinburgh. We hang out. Just such a genuine guy. He's got so much time for everyone within the whiskey industry, whether you're a seasoned whiskey drinker or just getting into it. He just wants to encourage the industry and encourage people within it. Been lucky enough to try some older whiskies, and I don't always say older whiskies are always better. My analogy for that is it's like human beings. Sometimes they don't mature very well and they're assholes. But I've been fortunate enough to try some very old whiskies. I tried an 80-year-old from Gordon MacPhail once. That was a bit sublime. I think it was a Glenlivet that they bottled. So maybe that or the Wildmoor 40. Yeah, just something completely out there.